be able to build things, build products, build businesses, and in some way, hopefully, improve people's lives. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think now most people have this supercomputer effectively with them, and the great apps, the great services are going to leverage everything this thing has in terms of from the operating system to the device to the ways it can connect to the world around us, principally the mic and the camera.
Absolutely. So, Shazam, explain to me a little bit about how you fit into this. I know you originally had the music app where you could listen to a song, it would tell you about it, and now you've moved to the television. Give me a little bit about what you guys, how you fit in a mobile context.
Sure, so Shazam's fortunate to be one of the 10 most popular apps in the world, over 350 million users, and people are Shazamming 15 million times per day. And the roots certainly are in identifying a song that someone's listening to, but we're expanding that to engaging with TV shows and TV commercials, and we think there's plenty more ways to go, but what we fundamentally do, and the reason we think Shazam gets to exist, is to connect people to the media around them through their smart device.
So you're a media company, and I'm assuming, right now you're focusing on television, is that correct?
Well, we're always focused on our core of music, certainly.
Okay.
So music is incredibly important, and there's a lot more that we're doing on music and intend to do, but we're also extending that focus to include TV. So
how, you obviously don't have a preference between the two, do you personally?
No, we think it's both. So, you know, you're consuming media, and whether that's a song or a TV show or a TV ad, you know, we want to be one click away from tagging it and being able to share it, buy it, learn more about it, etc.
So the television part of it is you can hold up your phone, have it listen to a commercial, and then be able to get promotions and different things based off of that.
Right, so we partner with advertisers to basically make their TV campaigns clickable. And so we can turn 30 seconds of engagement into several minutes of engagement, and we work to create custom experiences depending on the advertiser's objective. So it can be a tour of the inside of the car, arrange a test drive, it can be a coupon to take in the store, more content, really only limited by our creativity.
What do you see as the, you know, again, you're only limited by your creativity, so what are some of the things in television beyond just listening to the commercials do you think you're going to be able to develop?
Yeah, well, we think it can be a platform for interacting with the TV, so whether that's voting, the ability to get the recipe that the chef just used on the show, the ability to get a track for the musician who just played in the award show, and one of the best ways to share an ad or a TV show to drive audience, and then also just meet whatever the advertiser's objectives are as well.
Gotcha. So do you think, when you're dealing specifically with advertising, are you going to focus more on the advertiser and their context or on the consumer? How do you deal, who's more important to focus on?
So we always focus on the consumer. So for us, the consumer is absolutely at the middle of the table. So the consumer value proposition has to be there. You know, we're fortunate that many people associate Shazam with magic in terms of the ability to so rapidly identify songs and even in challenging environments. And so if we take our eye off that ball, and when someone Shazams something, the experience they have is not magical, that's absolutely not where we want to go. So the trick is to partner with advertisers, networks, producers to create magical experiences.
Gotcha. So with television, right now you have someone actively putting the phone up to the television, I'm assuming, listening, and then giving that sort of information. Why do people want to interact with commercials? Already I feel like television is such a, you know, I mute all of the commercials and go and do my thing and come back. Why am I going to be incentivized to listen and get a promotion for often a commercial that I'm not interested in to begin with?
Yeah, well, most people, about 85% of people have a smart device with them when they're watching TV. Normally that smart device is doing something very different than what's happening on the TV. But we do think there are certain commercials, whether it's to get a coupon to take into the store, for example, or if it's a car you're interested in. We're doing a great project with Jaguar right now on their new F-Series, and you watch this commercial, You Shazam it, and you can you take a full tour of the inside of the car, as an example, so you can engage with that brand or that commercial. It also could just be to tag it and remember to call them later, because now is not the best time to sign up for insurance when you're watching the show. So we've seen very meaningful engagement rates with advertisements.
Already you've seen people, so for how long has the television product been out?
So we've been doing it for a couple years. We've done over 250 advertising campaigns, and in terms of our peak engagement, we've seen almost 10% of an audience Shazam the show, which is we think a pretty meaningful milestone.
I would have thought.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you mentioned most people now are watching their shows alongside their smartphones. Do you find, what's the relationship that we're going to see as more smart TVs come out? How can we get both the television and the smartphone to listen to context?
Yeah, so we still look at it like people are watching a lot of TV. TV advertising is still very, very effective, and so we're really a way to sort of connect the smart device to what's on the TV. And we think in many cases that's a more convenient consumer case than interrupting that first screen experience or trying to put the content into that experience. So have the first screen experience, click to connect your smart device and extend the experience that way. So we're looking at it.
Gotcha. And what about passive listening? Do you think you're going to do any sort of, I guess, take away that the consumer has to do something, or does that defeat the purpose?
Yeah, we just launched 2 months ago on the iPad something we call auto tagging. So you basically can push the Shazam button and it stays pressed. And so this does create a continuous recognition. It's not recording, it's just grabbing small snippets of the sound waves and matching them with we have 30 million items in our database and add 1 million per month. And so when you can leave that running and come back and it will show you everything you saw, all the TV shows, all the commercials, etc. Later this summer we put it on the iPhone and we sort of affectionately call it club mode. So if you're going to go to a music-rich environment, you can put it in club mode, and when you come out, you'll have the full song list for the media that you consume during that experience. So it should be a fun new capability. And it was a fairly major technical undertaking for us, as you might imagine.
I was going to say, how does that affect the battery? Just sitting in the background listening to all of that.
It's a great question. So it does not affect. It basically does not change your charging behavior. Is the way that we've been able to accomplish it.
What does that mean?
That means you will not have to charge more frequently than you were charging before.
But does that mean, so when I come home, I have 50% left. Am I going to have 5% left at that point?
No.
My charging
Unfortunately,
behavior won't change.
Shazam's roots are in very, very low power devices, so we sort of come from a being conservative with power usage background, and that's one of the things that's made this possible, and one of the things that made Apple willing to approve it into their store.
So, you just said that passive listening was a big technical undertaking. Did you see, what were some of the bumps along that road? What would you like to see from passive listening, and what kind of what role will it play in the future of local context?
Yeah, well, for us, technically, if we have 15 million tags a day now as our sort of standard load, and all of a sudden we have 70 million active users, if all of a sudden they all, have an order of magnitude increase in the tag volume, that's a pretty serious load in our database and systems, and so figuring out how to handle that, figuring out how to be able to control that, and make sure we don't break anything or create a bad experience. So that's a big one. And then two, in the way that we manage tags, if you go from having the ones that you just did yourself to all of a sudden, if you watch TV for a few hours, you can have a lot of tags. So a lot of commercials, a lot of shows. How do we manage those? How do we make that easy to consume, delete, manage, share, etc.? That's a big one. But we think over time, it could potentially always be passive listening, and you could have a real record of all the media that you consumed in an efficient way to go back and see what you want to keep track of.
Cool. So let's switch gears for a quick second. Say you just got $40 million in funding, is that right? The number's right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Carlos Lim invested $40 million into Shazam.
It's a lot of money.
It It is.
And you also, previous investors are Kleiner Perkins, and you, talking with your advisors and talking with your investors, has mobile content